working on rounding. They're first going to talk about the halfway number, but things I want you to know is that when we round a number, so if I have the number, and I want to make sure we're all on the right page, if I have the number 3,486, and it says to round to the nearest hundred, I'm going to point to there. This is the number they say they want me to round to. So that means I look at the next door neighbor. I'm going to look at this number. And if I'm looking at this, I'm going to, because my number is between 5 and 9, this means that the 4 is going to go up. So it's going to be 3,500, and then everything else changes to zeros. But let's just say my number was 3,446. And I need to round to the nearest hundred. Again, I'm looking at the hundred, so I'm going next door. So I'm going to focus on that number. So my 3 stays the same. I know these are going to change to zeros. And this 4 tells me that that 4 is going to stay the same because it falls under keep it the same between 0 and 4. And so that's how you really do round. So let's look really quickly. So we're going to use the method that we used up above. We're going to skip this part because we don't actually have the blocks to be using in class. The halfway number is going to be 500. So if it was 2,368, the halfway number would be 2,500. Okay, so we're going to look at this down below. It'll make sense. So 15 or 1,514 lands between 1,000. So you're going to go with this number and change the rest to zeros, and then you're going to go to the next 1,000, which would be 2,000. So the halfway number, we're going to change this hundreds place to a 5. That's the halfway number. So what they want you to see that if this original number is more than this number, we round to the higher number. If it's less than that number, we round to the lower number. So this would be 2,000. Let's try it with one of our larger numbers, like number 7. So again, we're looking to the nearest 1,000. So this would be 12,000. And then I go to the next 1,000, which would be 13,000. The next says halfway number. What's the halfway number between this one? That's 12,500. So I'm looking to see if this number and how it compares to this number. This number is smaller than that number, so we're going to round to this number. Go ahead and try doing that for those. Oops. Now they want to know to the nearest thousands. I'm going to underline so that way you know what you're rounding. You're going to be rounding this one to the nearest 1,000. Again, rounding to this number. How many feet? To the nearest 1,000. And the nearest 1,000. So they want you to round those to the nearest 1,000 number. So if we were to go ahead and do number 11 together, I'm going to look at this. So they want me to change the 2. I'm not sure what I'm going to put in the 4. I'm not sure if this is staying the same, the 4 staying the same or changing, but the rest changed to zeros. So I'm already almost done. So I'm going to look at this 3. If that 3 is between 0 and 4, this number, the 4, stays the same. If it's greater than 4, so if it's 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, then I change it. But since it's less than, I keep it the same. All right. Let's take a look at this one. I've simplified this worksheet because there's a lot going on. So we're going to be looking at 1900s. So we're going to look at this column, and we're going to be looking at this column. And so they're talking about the same thing. About means rounding to the nearest. So about means our estimate is also rounding. So let's do number 1. We're going to focus in on the Bronx, the 1900s. So we're looking at the green box. So when I'm writing this, the Bronx to the nearest 1,000. So that'd be right here. So that's a 5. So that means that moves up to a 1. So it's 2, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0. That's a comma. I'm trying to make that a comma. Okay, so now I go to Brooklyn, and they already had 1 million people, which is absolutely nuts because Seattle just reached 1 million people not too long ago. So I'm going to change everything. I'm going to keep everything but after, and I'm going to change those to zeros. So now I'm looking at this number right here because I need to decide if I'm changing that number. This number is bigger than, it's 5 or more, so I change this to 7. I bump it up. So we go to Manhattan. I'm going to keep all these numbers. So 1,850,000. Going to leave a space for my next number. And all these numbers change to zeros. This is a 0, so that stays the same. So Queens. Looking at that one. Keep these, change those to zeros. Leave a space. This 9 right here is bigger than 5, so that bumps that 2 up to a 3. Okay, I'm going to let you do the Staten Island on your own, and then you only have just a few more questions on this worksheet to add all of these up. You're really going to end up putting a plus sign for number 3, and your answer goes here. Number 2, you're going to do the same thing that we did for number 1. Then number 4, you're going to add those up, and then they want you to subtract for number 4 from 3. So go ahead and try those on your own.